7, the first thing. I'm Tori Wolski, back from the VP of Operations, and we're here with our employee panel. Each of our employees will be introducing themselves. We have a set of questions that we will be getting asked. If you have any additional questions at any time, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we will have people here reading those back to us. And let's have some fun.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anthony Hunter. I am one of the senior account managers here at Entourage Yearbooks. We just introduce ourselves?
Hi, my name is Nicole Lipnitz, and I'm the Director of New Products and Technology here at Entourage.
Hello, I'm Ellen Dobro, and I'm one of the Associate Directors of Accounts at Entourage Yearbooks.
Hello, everybody. You've been hearing from me all day. Sean Stapleton. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for ECS. So we'll go back around again and what brought us into the yearbook industry. So I did start with Entourage, as I mentioned in the welcome, about 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago. And just started off as an assistant to the assistant of the Director of Sales, and kind of slowly worked my way up through that. And the reason that I was in New Jersey is my wife brought us here. She works in pharmaceuticals, and I was just looking for a great company to jump on board with. And Entourage was the first one here. So looking forward to running all the different brands from a new sales standpoint, starting in July of this year, and looking forward to continuing to grow our sales team across the United States and hopefully eventually outside of the United States.
I actually started on the original, kind of the last hold of the Manhattan office. I've been here about 18 years. So we just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. So when I was kind of young and living in New York, I was looking for a home basically to work, and I've been here ever since. So.
I'm similar to Ellen. I've been here for 15 years, and I had just graduated in college, and I was looking for a graphic design job. And so I started at Entourage in the account management department as one of the graphic designers, and kind of transitioned to the technology department over the years, and kind of found my home here.
Okay, so mine was a little bit different. I received a magical letter and a little owl that guided me to a magical train. So about 10 years ago, I was just recently graduated from college and as a graphic designer, and I was just kind of looking for a meaningful job, that I could kind of use my skills, and I landed at Entourage Yearbooks. Thankful to Larry, who's one of my head managers, and Billy Goodhart, who hired me. But since then, yeah, I found my way as far as like back then when we had Craigslist. So I found it on Craigslist, and that is exactly how I landed at Entourage. And honestly, it's been like an amazing journey, just being here, and the fact that I can use my skills as a graphic designer and also helping schools all around the country.
So I actually started with Picaboo Yearbooks about 11 years ago, and I was in a job that I didn't particularly love. And I had reached out to a gentleman who ran my internship program at a nonprofit. And he said that he didn't have a job for me, but I could show up on Monday and they would figure something out. And so that's basically what I did. So I started as an operations manager and just kind of figured out what to be doing. And Entourage purchased Picaboo Yearbooks about 3 years ago, and I am now the VP of operations for all of our yearbook brands at ECS. Are we reading? Yeah. What are some yearbook planning tips that can make the process easier?
So I always like to tell people like kind of the golden rules of starting is, get on the account and then map out what you want in your book. You can use old reference materials, new reference materials. You want to collect a lot of lists. But I always say you can move things around later. Oh, I'm sorry. You can move things around later. But it's really helpful to just kind of know about where you want to start to go with the book, just because that way you know your page count, if you're over or you're under, how much room you have for each section. And that just gives you a great start, because then you can move on to like making photo categories, thinking about the graphics and the style guide. But if you have that plan, it's like one of the first things, the easiest things to do, because then you can start giving students assignments.
I always suggest that you make kind of like an editorial calendar, especially around. Oh my God, oh, especially, especially around photographs. A lot of what I hear is like some of the hardest things of creating the yearbook is sourcing the photos. So if you kind of focus on a schedule and make sure you have all of your school's events or community events, that you know that there's somebody there taking photos, whether it be somebody on your yearbook team, or a parent or a booster club or another organization that can help you out. But don't forget about photos from the beginning of the year, so you're not kind of spending time digging for them. It'll make your end a lot better.
And I think on the sales front, that's always something that kind of gets put to the back burner. It's definitely something that you want to have a thought process and talk about with your group as well as parents and sponsors, because that's one of the things that when you get it set up early and you have it determined, oh, we're going to do a tiered structure this year, or we're just going to do one flat price, and getting the store set up early. It's a great opportunity for registration, particularly August when everyone's starting to come back to school, trying to get those yearbook sales in early. Having your store open, maybe running some coupons or the tiered pricing structure, say, hey, order it with your registration, there's a $5 off coupon, or it's $5 cheaper than it's going to be on September 1st. What we're finding, particularly with our schools, is that a lot of people don't even set up their stores until January. Right, you've already lost half of the school year. And so a big thing that we're going to be pushing for across all of our brands for 2026 deliveries is get your store set up early. It'll help with fundraising. It'll help you make a little bit more money, and putting money back into the school. And again, that is something that tends to get put on the back burner. So there's no extra fees or anything for having the store open earlier. And we're all here from all the different brands to be able to help you get that set up ASAP. So that those parents, grandparents, family members can start buying that yearbook earlier rather than later. So please try that out this year and it'll be better. And it looks like we might have a question from the audience. So go ahead, Larry.
So one of the advisors is asking, how many students do you think make an ideal yearbook team? I have 60 students, so I'm trying to gear up how many I should be thinking about.
So it can vary, especially depending on your technology. If you have 60 students and only 30 computers, that might make things difficult. There's really a right size. I've seen brilliant yearbooks done with 2 people, 5 people, 11 people, 30 people. I know it's a challenge to kind of give them all a role that they can kind of carry through. So you just want to kind of think about that. I guess if you have 60 people, you probably have a couple different classes. Or maybe you're dividing it up by semester. But if you do need some help, there's some things that you can do, like, especially with the design work and things, with photography. You just want to make sure everyone has like a piece of the puzzle that they can have an assignment and a role.
I think the big thing too is the most successful yearbook classes programs that I've ever seen, they always have an editor in chief or a chief editor, however you want to call it. There needs to be some ownership, not only from yourself and the other teachers or administrators who are a part of the process. You have to have the students own it, and them being able to look to one person always helps them, right? That one go-to person that they know can help them with all the aspects of the yearbook, and don't have it just be yourself. Make sure you have that editor in chief to alleviate some stress from yourself as the educator who's leading the program, but also for the students to look to someone outside of you, a comrade, a friend, somebody to be able to get them to help them get them to the finish line. Editor in chiefs are extremely important, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just to chime up with what Sean was saying, a lot of times we have 3 different types that you can be as far as your project. You have the admin, you have the editor, and you have the users. So admins, usually you want to set them up as the people that are going to be ahead of the project, which you said the editor in chiefs of the project, which if you have a question or if you call in for support, can add more pages, has the ability to grant permissions to certain other editors of the project that kind of like take on the whole entire role of the project, but you have editors which just help out with designing the book. So it's usually better to kind of organize your team in that way, and then you have users which can just help out with, as far as like taking photos. So usually you have like a photo team that they're designated for taking pictures for the yearbook. You have the people that are just editors that help out with designing the book, assigning them pages. We do have that ability where you can assign pages to them. And then you have the admins who just kind of overlook things. If you have like hard questions that you need to reach out to tech support or any of your account managers, the admin is the person that they would, they would actually contact, or they would get counsel on.
I'll just chime in too on the assigning pages. The larger your yearbook team is, the more diligent you're gonna be wanting to be about making sure there's a specific set of people assigned to each page. So if you have, 30, 60 kids helping with the yearbook, they don't have access to all of the pages to make changes. And then the smaller the team is, I think the less you kind of have to worry about that.
Yes, Julia, another question from the audience.
Yep, we have another one. Speaking actually what you were speaking of, Sean, they're asking for some ideas to promote and sell the yearbook.
I think the biggest thing is use the events that are already on the schedule for the year. I think what people fall into the trap of is they think they have to create like yearbook designed events to get the word out or to build up hype for it. But you already have so many things on the schedule for the year. And I'm going to speak in terms of high schools. Obviously, it's different for an elementary and middle. But registration process at the beginning of the year for high school, right? When they're getting physicals and checking in for their sports and letting the school know what they're going to be participating in essentially. What we always love to do, and what I have done very well with a lot of my bigger schools, is every time somebody comes to register, particularly at the beginning of the year, they have a business card or some type of card or a tab that you can pull off that there's a QR code on that tab business card that they can scan and go to and purchase their yearbook right off the bat. But again, for them to be able to do that, your yearbook store has to be turned on with your correct pricing. Okay, so it goes back to my original point. One thing that I love to do to hype up sales, and this could be elementary, middle school, or high school. Anytime you have a sporting event, a dance, whatever it might be, okay, throughout the year, you should also be giving out those little pieces of paper or business cards with a QR code that can link them to be able to buy the book, but to also send in pictures if possible for the yearbook project for that year. The schools that sell the highest amount of books are the ones that build up the hype correctly. And one way to do that, particularly with parents and students, is to have them get involved in the photo gathering process throughout the year. If they think that there is a chance that their photo from prom 2025 or the homecoming football game or the state championship basketball game, whatever it might be, right? Then they are more likely to purchase a yearbook. Because anybody who has an iPhone 11 or better, or 10 or better, Samsung like S19, 20 or better, their photos can be taken from their phone. They don't have to have a super duper crazy nice Canon camera, for lack of a better word, to be able to be a part of it. Okay, our cell phones are so have such great cameras on them now that they could be involved that way. So those are just those two things in particular: setting up early and getting them involved in the process of helping out with photos is huge, because then they are more likely to buy and purchase at the end of the year.
We have a session tomorrow too, right, about sales and marketing
Yeah.
for your yearbook.
Yeah, so tomorrow from 3:30 to 5, I've been called up from the minors. And so I will be presenting that as well with Haley Schweitzer from 3:30 to 5. It is actually our last session of the 2 days, and we'll go more in depth, both on school types and best practices and setting up your store and talking about the advantages and disadvantages of a tiered pricing system versus standard, running coupon codes, all that kind of fun thing. But there is a session dedicated just to that. So good question.
Another question, does Entourage see adding a robust email or SMS marketing platform to the EDO platform to assist with marketing book?
Yeah.
So it's definitely something we've looked into in the past. It's not on our immediate development structure, but it's definitely something we'll continue to investigate. Our biggest deal there is getting the list of email addresses from the school to get to all the parents and getting permissions that way so that we can send it out. A good kind of workaround is I know what my kid's school does is we have a weekly marketing thing that goes out every Sunday morning to say what's happening in the week, and every single week from the start of school till yearbook deadline, there's a little box that says order your yearbook, this is the price, this is the link. So just tagging on to marketing that your school already sent out is a great way to do that. Until we can get that feature kind of worked out as to the permissions of sharing email addresses and going through the school with that thing.
We do have marketing materials available that you can customize, and you can also actually use your proof book as a marketing piece too.
On the Picaboo Yearbook side, we tried to do it into Creator Studio. A lot of schools weren't super thrilled about uploading their parents' lists in there to send them out. What we do for you is we can create a template email for you, put in your QR code, put in your storefront, and then we would send you that template. So your systems administrator, your secretary, or an admin can send out that specific email blast for you, but it's all created, so all they need to do is put their list in and send it.
So I was gonna say that as well too. Us as the yearbook company, it puts us kind of in a weird spot with yearbook parent lists, or sorry, parent lists in general. So as long as the school is willing to provide it to my marketing team, like Tori just mentioned, we'll design the actual creative for it. And if you want to send it, that's fine. If you want us to set it up, and I've done this for 1 or 2 schools where we'll send it out 3 times a year for them, so that it's like, oh, we'll always forget. So as long as we have the permission from you to email those parents, we will take care of that for you. But definitely what Tori just mentioned on that side of, we'll do the creative side for you, we'll get it set up. That is probably the easiest way to access, so that there's no parent privacy laws that can get broken. Every school district is different, every state is different. And so we are there to support you creatively, and if you do want us to send it, that is something that we have done on a couple of different occasions too as well.
It looks like we have a question from them.
Back to having multiple students working on the book, we have a question about assigning students different spreads. Is there a way to hide pages so students don't have to scroll for the pages they can't access, and or they don't have to be involved in every part of the book?
There you go.
So right now, there's not a way for them to just show their specific pages. It does show when they're in the designer which pages they have access to on the left panel, I think, in the old designer. And it will show like they have access to page 10, 11, and 50 and 52 or something like that. And then they can directly link to those pages from the designer. They do have different permissions where you can have 2 people assigned to each spread. Only 1 person right now can access it at a time. So if they're in like different classes or working on different periods, that can work out. And then you can actually mark in the Ed Online Designer, you can mark pages hidden, which we've had people do in the past. For things they want to do as like surprises for their, maybe their ads for their seniors or whatever. Their parents don't want them to see it before the book goes to print. So they can hide the pages to prevent anyone from being able to see it. And then assigning the pages will lock anyone who's not supposed to be in that page out of actually getting into that page. So only the administrator and the people assigned to that page will be able to access it. And then,
I don't think that you can hide pages in Creator Studio.
The CDF for them.
Does anybody else want to answer that one before we answer the next one? Next question, is Entourage looking into combining soft and hardcover accounts? And by that, I mean, will they only be able to set up 1 account for both cover types?
yes. That happening this year, we are making the switch.
You're welcome.
Account, you'll be able to sell both yearbooks from that 1 account, soft and hard, and then you'll just have to design 2 covers for that 1 account, but you won't have to worry about having 2 accounts.
Can we be realistic in the time frame for when that is most likely going to be happening?
Probably in October, November.
And then in Creator Studio, you can already, so have that functionality already.
Number one thing, that's probably the number one thing that we get asked for consistently, both from schools and even partners as well, that want to do that. So I get like 1 or 2 asks, and that was the first thing that I went to Nicole with, and I was like, we need to be able to do this, please. And they were awesome. They put it to the forefront of their run for the web team. And we are all, not just you guys out there, advisors, happy for that. We are all excited about it too. No more 2 accounts, all 1 place, just much easier tracking for us moving forward. I'm super excited about that. Yes.
In the designer, can students work on the same page at the same time, or how are they able to manage?
In Creator Studio, you are able to be on the same page at the same time. It doesn't work much better if there's more than 2 people on there. And then in EDO, it's 1 person on the page at a time.
That's correct.
Yes.
Anything else from the gallery?
Sure.
I mean, we have more questions.
Oh,
Yeah, keep it.
you go. We'll go with
I would rather interact with.
Yeah.
Other-
We gotta answer your questions. So.
So are there covers that have embossing or textures?
Yes, we have lots of different cover upgrades. Texture kind of depends. We do have a way to do an overall texture on like a leatherette. There's like thousands of leatherette options. So if you want to talk to your sales rep or your account manager, we can definitely get you the option. We can definitely do embossing. There's a lot of other things, like when you do metal lays, which is almost like a metal plate that's been embossed. We can do foil stamping, spot UV. There's countless options and combinations.
We don't have any yeah, we don't have any pre-designed covers in the editors that you can do that, but you can work with your account manager, on both the Entourage and the Picaboo brand to, if you can dream a cover, we can pretty much do it.
But we also can provide you with covers
guidance,
that
yeah.
have been used in the past. Obviously, a lot of people do school years,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's pretty consistent. But we can, I know Ellen does a ton of awesome covers every single year, for the upgrade portion of it. And so, if you're looking for ideas or examples, we try to take pictures of the ones with those types of embellishments, so that we have a ability to showcase what we've done in the past, so that you know what you're getting yourself into, before you and the team actually order it and add it to your yearbook for 2026.
Definitely reach out to us. There's a lot of things that kind of go into it. Some of them require more time, a lot of them don't. Some of them we just need at a certain date. I know like deadlines were generally very relaxed with the cover. Sometimes with the upgrades, you just have to I think it's March, it'll probably be out.
We typically just need to know your like final page count and your final copy count in March to kind of lock in the cover so we can get it ordered.
Yeah, so in short, yes, we offer, it's one of those things where at the beginning, you usually want to talk to your sales rep, whoever your account manager is about that offer as far as what kind of cover upgrades you would like. And then from there, what we would do is usually throughout the year, we'll send out an email, blast is saying, have you approved your cover? And usually you want to approve your cover, like have your set design done, and then you approve your cover, and in that way, your account manager can start setting up the design that you're requesting. And then therefore, once it gets to production, we have it all aligned for you, and we'll have to have like your foil if it's a certain color, if it's whether it's silver, whether it's gold. You just have to communicate with us what you want, and then we can take it from there.
And your budget.
And your budget.
And the budget.
It's a great thing to kind of plan at the beginning of the year. If you want to do something really fancy, like if you want like a plexiglass cover or a die cut, some of those do add quite a bit of cost. But if you're planning at the beginning of the year, you can always build that into your sales plan. So.
And going back to the dynamic cover discussion, are they able to still add any upgrades on, like personalizations or anything like that?
Personalizations, I think, yes. I don't think any of the other upgrades at this time.
In Creator Studio, you are able to do personalization, personalized pages, and then either your hardcover or your soft cover to have whatever upgrade you'd like it to have.
Anything else from the gallery? Not right now? Okay. Explain a few key things you would recommend every advisor do when working on and creating a yearbook. Top 2.
Spell check. Makes this really sad, gorgeous book, and then we get a call because the principal or somebody is enraged because like there's misspellings everywhere. There's a spell check in both designers. So I definitely just recommend last thing you do, first thing you do it as you go, spell check.
And spell your school name right.
School name correctly. Have your principal, your admin, have like a sign off. I love suggesting that you either like send them the digital proof or the printed proof, and get some sort of electronic trail as well, where they say, I've approved this book, you're able to order it, and take a little pressure off of you, and then have another set of eyes on it as well.
And that way that name is spelled wrong.
Yeah, it's not your fault. It's your principal's fault or your admin's fault.
And particularly be careful.
Yeah.
If you are using alternative languages other than English.
Yes.
Every year we have a school who puts in a Latin phrase or puts in Spanish phrase or whatever it might be, whatever language it might be. Double, triple, quadruple check with someone who speaks that language on a day-to-day basis, okay? We try to catch as much as we can on the spell check side, but at the same time, we are not fluent in 1,000 different languages, right? So we do our best. But please do your homework too. We are in this process together. So we need to support each other correctly through that too as well.
And for the beginning advisors or yearbook coordinators, one of the biggest things is like your time is precious. So at the very beginning of your yearbook, you would definitely want to make sure you have a schedule. of like what things you want to have done earlier on compared to later. One of the things is having maybe your cover done, maybe with your yearbook team, you would like to discuss like what kind of theme you would like to add inside the yearbook this year. If you have something that's cool and fun that the kids are really into that year, maybe you're having a discussion with your team about what they might want to have in the yearbook. And then from there, we have like different like deadlines in which you can meet as far as like getting approved of. So like as the year goes on, you can have a good first portion of your yearbook done. Usually you schedule like with your photographer because the portraits are very key and very important inside the yearbook. And sometimes photographers, they come to the schools earlier in the year and sometimes they come later in the year. So sometimes you want to coordinate as far as like you contact your photographer, make sure you know when they're going to take the photos of the students. And then once you know, then you'll send over your PSJ file to whoever your account manager is. Or once you have those files, you contact your account manager to have those pictures put inside your yearbook. Because sometimes people like to build from the portrait pages and then build from there. So I would say a lot of times this comes down to just your schedule because you all are busy. You know, some have, you know, you're working at school all day and then you have to come home and you're working on the yearbook. So it's good to plan out those different times of the year when you want to have certain things done. And when I was talking about the themes, another thing that you want to kind of keep in mind are different events that you're having throughout the year. So a lot of times at the beginning, when you're thinking about kind of what photos you're going to add to the book because you're overwhelmed with what you're going to put into your book, having those set different events that are happening in school set up in your actual categories or your folders is definitely something that you want to have done earlier on, just so that you make sure that your photographer is set up to take those pictures throughout the year for those events, so that at the end you're not, you know, too stressed out about you don't have enough photos or that you don't have pictures for certain events.
Yearbook photos or folders, that is probably like the biggest one. That's huge. Sooner you can do that, the better off you will be 100%. And the other one that I like to tell you too is, you know how a lot of companies, we just redid ours actually. We have a brand guide, right? Of colors, fonts, placement, just overall theme, right? Anthony touched on that one too as well. I love creating, and I've seen a lot of schools do this kind of a one-page yearbook brand guide. And there's an area for shapes and for cuts and for fonts and for color spectrums and then the theme and what we're going for, right? That creating a yearbook brand guide, even if you don't have all those things, at least 4, 5, or 6 of them will set your class or you up for success as long as everyone's following those rules, right? Or using the correct fonts. The checking process at the end of the year goes so much smoother if you have that out. You know, if I had a yearbook class, that would be the first thing everybody gets on their desk. And like Anthony said, first thing I would do is go in and create all my yearbook folders for my photos those first 2 weeks. Now, again, you might miss a couple or you need to add some because an extra daddy-daughter dance comes up. We weren't originally going to do it. Well, now we're doing it in February, right? You can always add folders later, right? But if you can get 80 to 90% of them done in your first 2 weeks, you are unbelievably far ahead of the game in August as opposed to chasing your tail in January. So I'm a big advocate for those folders, man. It'll make your life so much easier.
Going back to the style guide, I love that. Like, you don't have
Style
to.
guide, thank you.
Oh, branding guide is actually what we call it, so I gotta stay on branding guide. But the great thing about that is the students can actually make these choices. Like, they can choose their headline font and their colors and everything they want to do, but then it gives you a to grade them on, which is also kind of nice, but it also kind of takes a lot of the agony of making choices later. They already made the choice. We don't have to sit there at the Halloween page and think about it for 2 class periods, but what font we're using. We're just gonna use the font we're gonna use. So it helps a lot too.
Anything for me?
I was gonna say, kind of related to that, but getting in the software early, so getting your students started and kicked off with the software as soon as possible. And having them make a page just about themselves, upload their own photos, upload their, you know, make a page that's all about me. So that they start to feel comfortable in the software, so that this way when you hand them their first spread or their first assignment, they're not trying to figure out how to add a shape or getting scared by that big blank white page that's staring them in the face. You can always create stuff and then delete the pages or clear them off. So, you know, have some fun in the designer first and let your students get comfortable with it before they're actually building their final spreads.
Your yearbook will be judged by your cover. It's one of the most important parts of it, so When you're done with it, everybody in this company is more than happy to look at as many covers as we possibly can. So reach out to your sales rep or your account manager and be like, hey, I'm done with my cover. Would you mind reviewing it? And we'll make sure, your school name spelled correctly. If you want spine text, there's spine text on there. You don't have important artwork being bled off pages. So make sure you reach out about your cover. Larry?
One question, does Entourage have a style guide template?
We have some examples of several that we can send out that people wanted to share. It really depends what you need. Some go from very simple, it's just a checklist. Others go to like amazing art boards, almost like looks like someone planned a wedding, like the Pinterest board. But there's no real right way, but we do have some examples if you'd like to see. Just reach out to your account manager. Julia?
We have a question for someone starting school in August and you know the new software is coming out in September. Will they have to restart or can they transition easily?
They'll be able to transition. The designer does look pretty different, but all the functionality and everything is the same. So we're not really changing the initial functionality of the software. And the underlying software is staying the same, so you're not gonna have to transfer any of your pages or anything like that. So you could definitely get started and kind of start playing around in the software, and then you'll just see the switchover happen that first week of September.
I like to think of it as a major facelift, right? Like that's essentially what's going to be happening. It's not like Nicole said, the functionality of it will remain very similar, but just better tips and tricks, better upgrades, things of that nature. And we're all super excited to get that finalized. But we want it to be a finished product, and we want to set you guys up for success. So hopefully you guys will feel the same way. But I know that can be very daunting when you hear the word new designer. It's okay, but it's a major facelift. That is a good way, I think, to honestly think about it too as well.
I think something important to mention that we haven't mentioned before is Picaboo Yearbooks and Entourage Yearbook Company, Entourage Yearbooks are both able to use both softwares. So if you are an Entourage customer and you want to use Creator Studio, or you're a Picaboo customer and you want to use EDO Next, we can talk to you about that and you can make your software.
Good point.
One of the things earlier on, us as account managers and our team, we understand that not everyone is a graphic designer. Not everyone knows how to design a book. Sometimes you're just handed the project, from your school or whatever organization you're with. So one of the biggest things earlier on is pretty much like, I know like looking at blank pages can be a little daunting and maybe overwhelming to some. But we do offer a lot of big book builders or yearbook themes that you can choose full book themes in which that you can just place already pre-designed pages into your yearbook. That way you're not starting off with just a blank canvas. Sometimes when you have something just on your page at the beginning, it makes you feel a lot better of, oh, I can do this. So I would say that that's one of the biggest things when you start out. Coordinate with your account manager. A lot of times we give out webinars and tutorials on just how to get started and how to get into the designer. So that is one of the biggest things I would say earlier on, is just getting something on your pages, getting those full book themes or templates can help you as well.
What are some things an advisor can do to generate sales and excitement? Somebody already asked that question, so we're gonna share the next one. Okay, this is a good one. So what are some ways to fill extra pages in the book when you're lacking content? This slide obviously came from, mostly derived from the COVID times, obviously, particularly in 2020, 21, and 22. People were really looking for a lot of different ways to fill out those empty pages in their yearbook. But one thing that has remained true even throughout COVID is our year in review pages, is what we call it on the Entourage side. That is the best way to do it, but I will let the
Yeah, so
designer speak.
we painstakingly create at least 16 pages of year in review content. We do a version for high schools or higher schools, as well as we call it the Buzz Junior, which is more geared for elementary schools. All of the content in those pages is 100% editable. So if you don't like a story or a way that something is written, you can change that. You can use it as a template for kind of your own things. But those pages are in both softwares, free to use, totally editable. They're published in mid-March of every year. And I 100% suggest that you at least take a look at them and see if you want to add them into your book. But our team works very hard on them, and I'm personally very proud.
I was gonna say, activity pages, so this is kind of more geared to like the elementary school kids more than the high schoolers. But having like, they have the word search in some of them with like your teachers' names or something fun like that. Or just kind of, we've done the coloring pages before, just kind of little interactive things that they can do. They've done, when it was COVID times, it's not so prevalent anymore, but maybe you could do like, they take a picture of someone's eye really close and then you guess whose eye that is. So just kind of making some fun activities at the end of your book for your kids to participate in.
We have a lot of like about me pages too. So it's a really fun way to add a page in there that has like some blank space. That kids could actually like fill it in. I know like in my kindergarten yearbook, we had one and it was like, Tori wants to be a vet. And you can take off a little, it was weird. I did not. But it's a way to take off a little bit of work off of yourself as well and just put that in as a blank page so each kid can fill it in themselves.
Besides those kind of pages, you can also add in autograph pages as well. We do offer those as, besides them just being blank, there are actual templates that you can use as say autograph so that the kids know that to sign like their signatures there. And it also depends on how many blank pages you have at the end of your book too. Like if you have, 16 pages at the end of your book that you're not using, there's other ways that you can fill those pages. If you can't come up with ways to fill those pages, you might want to discuss it with your sales rep if you have to shorten those pages a little bit. But it's also like if you only had 2 pages, blank at the end of your book, the best way is those autograph pages or year review pages. Unfortunately, going down as far as just 2 pages in the book may not be possible, but just to get into sales.
So one thing too that people always worry about is we want to try to get the book delivered before the end of the school year, right? Some don't, but I would say 90% of our schools across all the brands do actually try to get them in before the end of the school year. So what a lot of schools have started to do, because they might miss the May events, generally speaking, some maybe early June events, you have the option to create a QR code that will live in eternity, okay? And you can say the state baseball championship run or the state softball championship run. And what you can do is you can create a QR code and then have that QR code lead them to a video or a bunch of different photos, essentially, of those particular events. So what I had a school do this year was they had 2 pages left, coincidentally, and they created 8 different types of QR codes to lead them to the Google Drive folder of all the photos from their state championship run, from their prom, right? And people really like that, right? It's never fun to lead off an event from the year, particularly something as awesome as winning a state championship or prom or whatever. The end of your school dance, the field days in the elementary and the middle schools, those tend to be in the last couple of weeks of school. But that way, parents and students alike will still get access to that. I do recommend putting like 4 on each page or at least 2. Otherwise, it looks a little bit too cluttered or not enough. You don't just want one big QR code on one page. That's probably not a good look. But that is just some alternative options for those end of year activities that you might be a little disappointed that you couldn't fit into your yearbook. But by using one of our companies, whether it's Remember Me, Entourage, or Picaboo, you're generally getting your book in, almost always in 28 days or less, and in most cases, it's 21 days or less. So we hope that we've been able to provide an opportunity for you to include as much as possible in your yearbooks to really put the final feather in the cap for your school year too as well.
I've been seeing QR codes like on the pages, like in a lot of the books, so like you can include a lot more photos and make people feel more included. So I definitely suggest doing that as well. It's great to see more photos from this event here.
Or a sports team, right? Like
Yeah,
sports teams
sports
generally get
teams.
1 page.
Yeah.
But the team has a lot of people and it's like you can only fit 5 or 6 pictures on that page. That way, you put a QR code in there and then you can see the journey of the entire season or the Bay Club going all the way to DC or whatever it might be. It's hard to tell that story without being able to show 15 to 20 pictures. And with QR codes, you're definitely in that.
Larry has a question in the audience.
Yes, does Entourage also offer supplements for year or for summer or late school year?
Yeah, so both, all three brands offer either adhesive taped in supplements, where you can tape it into your book. Or you can do, another project that's either staple bound or soft cover if you want more of like a full book. But you can get those made with all brands.
What are some of the most common mistakes made by advisors and how can they be avoided? I know we just talked about spell check, but there's plenty more than spell checks.
Read all your quotes.
Yeah.
Read all your quotes, make your editor read all your.
Not for spelling.
If you ever see like The Office episode 16, but just put up.
And it's anything in black to hold up to the mirror, make sure it's not mirror writing. Yeah. Urban Dictionary is your friend.
Yeah.
Kids are getting very creative in ways to
Very
say
creative.
bad things.
Yeah.
And, it's just, if it doesn't look right or doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. So question it, check your senior quotes for sure.
We want them to have their voices, but we also don't want the school to be embarrassed or the parents to be offended.
I've seen it quite often, and one of the things I want to go back to is about time, right? Taking that extra time at the end of your project to look through the book, with the, just very in detail as far as like the pictures that have been chosen, what things are happening in the photos. Sometimes you'll have, students that take photos that you don't necessarily know what is really happening in that photo, and sometimes, or if they're throwing up a peace sign or looking at hand gestures, you definitely want to make sure that you're not putting in anything inappropriate inside your yearbook. And like they said, with the different quotes, making sure people's names are spelled correctly. You don't want to submit your book for production and then have to contact your account manager because you made one mistake to the book that you wish that you could have just looked up for the book just that one extra time.
Don't trust your photographers.
No.
I know there's some office. I don't mean that in a bad way. But PSPA files, there are a lot of classrooms, there are a lot of John Smiths, there are a lot of kids, right? And unfortunately, pictures get missed, okay? So we talked about make sure your principal signs off on the yearbook. But it is also so important to go to your homeroom or to go to the student leaders, whatever, and going class by class and saying, oh, we missed Carlos in this classroom, we missed Jennifer in this classroom, whatever it might be, right? Give some accountability back to the students and the teachers, right, that teach those kids, because everyone wants it to be right. And the people who want it to be the most are the ones who tend to not want to help in the first place. Make them help you. You are dedicating your time and your resources and your love of journalism, yearbook creation, whatever. Make them help you out with that process too, because no one wants to leave a student out of a yearbook, right? But it happens. And whether it's, the photographer, or whether it's us, the parents, right? Like there's a wide range of how this can happen. Okay, that's just the honest to God truth. But just get more people involved and be like, hey, you're missing that person, or hey, they changed their last name, or hey, Bob came into the school in February, but we really want to make sure that we get him in there. So there's just options for that, right? It's impossible for you to know each and every student at your school for the most part. So rely on some outside sources to help you get everybody involved in there, because everyone, we all know, there's not a worse feeling than when you get your final product and you forget little Jimmy from second grade. Like nobody wants to do that.
So this is two parts. One, if your last day of school is June 7th and you want to hand out your books on June 7th,
Oh,
don't order your yearbooks to come on June 7th. Give yourselves a couple of extra days to open them, to go through them, to prepare yourself for distribution. And then on the opposite side, if you get your books a little bit early, which is great, don't wait until you need them to open them. All the boxes say open immediately. Make sure you open them, inspect them, make sure everything's great. The more time, there are sometimes where, mistakes happen or there's production issues, we can fix them very quickly, as long as we hear about them so open your boxes.
Particularly this year, because we all know 2024 deliveries, they were right on the cusp. They were always right, they were there, but there wasn't a lot of leeway. This year, a lot of people got their yearbooks very early this year. And I can't tell you how many times I got a phone call and they said, oh, I found a misspelling. Oh, the cover's off. Oh, my books are wet, whatever. Your books were delivered 2 weeks ago. Oh, we just opened the boxes and the last day of school is tomorrow. Like just the two things that Tori just said, both of those things most likely could have been avoided. open your boxes, please. We are getting faster and quicker at turning around books across all of our brands. Obviously, we have the 14, 21, 28-day setups in there to give you guidelines for it. But please, please, please open your yearbook boxes when you get them so that we can fix any mistakes that might happen.
And another mistake that I've seen over the years is when you're designing your pages in the book, we do have guidelines for the pages. So we have a purple line, which is called our safe zone, which you have to keep all your narratives and text inside of that area. And then we have the black line in our designer is the actual cut line. Now, the part that gets a little confusing is the area from the black line to the red line, which is our bleed area. Okay, so a lot of backgrounds, you want to make sure it's extended to that outside red line. This has happened a lot when it comes to placing your backgrounds or placing a design that you may have created on your own. Just because like once the book goes to print, if your background is not extended past that black line to the red line, you might get a white line or a little bit of slither of a white line on the sides of your pages, just because of maybe that page was not cut exactly on that black line. So I would say that that is one of the biggest things that you want to keep an eye out on when you make your book. And that is a key mistake that a lot of advisors make when they're submitting their books. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye out for.
To include that as well, I know a lot of people are loving, like I know the students love Canva. Other students love Photoshop. There's other programs they use. If you plan to use an external software to augment your book or to make pages in, I would definitely reach out to your account manager just to make sure that you have the proper guidelines. One of the weaknesses of Canva, unfortunately, is you're not going to have the safety guides that we do. But you can still use it. There's just some like general rules that'll kind of protect you. And the biggest one with Canva is it's free. Unfortunately, that means they can't change their document size. So they will send this glorious page that is 2 by 3 inches. So if it's 300 DPI, by the time they load up to a full page, unfortunately, there's nothing anyone can do, except they need to buy Canva. Basically, somebody will have to pay for the license to do it. So you just want to make sure you have your guidelines set up, even if you're not using softwares.
My thing was gonna be kind of building off what everyone said about just the designer stuff is, for Entourage specifically, is, using the proof books. You can get a couple of, and you too, okay. You can get a couple of proof books throughout the year. So even if you only have, 10, 20 pages done and you're getting basically a blank book, at least get that so you can kind of see like how big your fonts are, because it is very different to see a font typed out on a screen versus typed out in a book. 12-point font could look fairly legible in like on your screen on your computer, but then you print it out and it's huge. So just kind of taking advantage and seeing, and getting your students used to that. Like maybe you know about that, but the ninth graders who are just coming in maybe aren't paying attention to the fact that the font sizes and then just different layouts, making sure they're going together, but definitely take advantage of the proof books so that you can kind of see everything laid out and it will get your students and everyone excited about it.
And proof books are also the best way to check photo quality.
And your cover.
And your cover. Yes.
And also builds hype about your cover, especially in your cover rates, representation.
Put it on display.
Put it on display. Again, you guys
Sales of sales.
if you guys ask for ways to help sell yearbooks, one of the biggest ones is get a gosh darn proof book, have it on display at all the events that you could possibly have it at, and be like, here's a sneak peek to the yearbook for this year. It really does make a difference because it's a physical, tangible thing that they get to hold. So that is a great one, Nicole. The most common mistake that you're giving new one is they do not order proof books, and it is so important. So that's a really good one.
And just to go back on some of the mistakes that we mentioned earlier, getting your yearbook sales or your store turned on earlier in the year rather than later in the year. We get a lot of phone calls a lot of times that they're trying to set up their store maybe later in the year, like maybe a couple weeks before their final production or their final approval date. Which could cause a lot more stress because you're trying to get orders, you're trying to get a lot of buzz for a lot of students so that they actually purchase the book. So I would say starting out right at the beginning of the year, just setting up that store, getting your price in. I know maybe throughout the year you might change your book page count or you might change something. A lot of those things can be altered throughout the year, but when it comes to your store, making sure you get all your sales in earlier on is definitely very important, so that you're not stuck with setting up your store later and not getting the amount of books that you thought you were going to get at the beginning of the year.
I love student art. Some student art covers are my favorite covers in the entire world. But that is one of the times that we see the most bleed and cut issues with art. So if you're gonna do a cover contest or student art, reach out so we can kind of help you with your template, so your students can use that in their designs. So are typically the most difficult to stretch and to.
Any questions from the gallery, or should we keep going? Shells?
We're trying to answer as many.
Anything you want to ask us? Is there anything in there?
Questions.
Okay, all right, let's keep going. What are best practices to ensure and determine photo quality is good upon printing?
Perk books.
Proof books.
It's hard. DPI, like the actual resolution of a photo is so relative. It could be 70 DPI, but if it's 12 by 18 feet, it's gonna be just fine this big. But same thing, if it's like, this big and 300 DPI, it's not gonna be very useful. So I know both softwares have a low res warning. We will print low quality photos because sometimes the content is more important than quality. Like if that's the only photo you have of somebody, or if like your principal really wants something in there, sometimes you just gotta go with it. We just don't want it to be a surprise. Larry?
I wasn't sure of this one. Proof books available with all companies.
Proof books are available with Picaboo Yearbooks and Entourage. If you want a proof book from Remember Me Yearbooks, you're able to order a book ahead, but there is a charge for that.
Okay.
But you can request a digital proof. And digital proofs show you print quality pretty well. One important thing with Creator Studio that we get a lot of questions in is Creator Studio is very speedy. One of the ways we do that is we downsize the images in the editor. So we get a lot of questions about the picture looking blurry in the editor. But if you can request a digital proof at any time of any page, and see what that will look like printed.
Entourage's preview is a low res preview, mostly for speed. So it's great if you need something to write all over, like I do, to proofread. If you are really concerned about a particular page, we cannot send the entire book at high resolution, but we can send a couple pages. So especially at the beginning, if you just want to make sure and print it out on your own, we can definitely send a couple. So
How do you keep up interest and involvement within a yearbook club or committee?
I see a lot of t-shirts that I really love when I go into schools, and they either have like a name for it or they do some like fun yearbook stuff in there. We can help you with that as well. But I feel some like swag and t-shirts is always good to build a culture.
Press
within our
pass.
team. Press passes are great. Press passes make kids feel really special when they go to the events too.
awards for milestones.
Yeah,
When we finish first 25% of the book, pizza party.
it's party.
Or whatever you guys want to do with it, but sense of accomplishment. I mean, we all know the yearbook process is a long and arduous road, right? It's not always easy, and so celebrating with both your other coworkers and also the students, I think, is super duper important. If you have kids, generally, if you have a yearbook class or club or whatever, and you start off small and people want to join later in the process, I know most people and the advisors will get up here and talk about this too, is don't turn away a student who wants to be involved in the yearbook, regardless of when they want to join. Sometimes bringing in new blood, for lack of a better way to put it, or it brings in new life to the yearbook project too. So, don't turn anybody away if you can obviously afford and are allowed to have them in your class. Because people who have passion for yearbooks, that will show in your pages and that will show in your final product. And don't get left out on an island. Try to get another teacher to help you as much as possible. Get your significant other involved with you at night when you're proofreading pages. It just adds a sense of responsibility and just a little extra layer of hopefully loving your final product too as well.
Yearbook staff pages. I love seeing yearbook staff pages. It gives them a little bit more space in the book. And for a lot of kids love to feel important and they love to see their pictures on the pages. So that will generate excitement if they can do a little, depending on how many you have, you can put like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on a page and do a little bit more info on them. We do that, and we do a company yearbook that I love, and we do that in our company yearbook as well.
Perks, like we talked about, and then just like them being able to put yearbook editor or editor-in-chief, or just I was a part of the yearbook club. That means a lot to colleges. It means a lot to even sometimes when you're searching for your first job out of college or whatever. It shows dedication to a program or to almost like a family being able to set up a product, sell that product. If you do ad sales, it just shows that they are a well-rounded individual. It's not just the graphic design side of it. There's a huge business side to running a yearbook team and club, right? And being able to maintain funds, setting pricing, whatever it might be. So students who tend to have a yearbook or yearbook club on resumes, whether they're going to college or their first time that they're going to go try to get a job after college or whatever they end up doing, people look at that as a major positive. And that's something that people should be very, very proud of. So I think if you sell that to the students appropriately, that will also helps you garner interest. Go ahead, Kaylin.
5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay.
Well, so I was just gonna say, making sure the students have the right job for their personality. So maybe a student's struggling with actually designing the pages, but then they're really good at, managing the sales or going out and taking pictures or hyping up the yearbook just in the school. Because they're like maybe part of like the quote unquote popular crowd, and they can get the right people to get the right pictures to get the right, information that you need for the yearbook. So just making sure that you find the right student for the right place in the yearbook, and not just forcing them to, everyone has to make a spread, everyone has to take X amount of pictures. Kind of using it more as like a business and treating, finding the right employee for the right spot of the yearbook. And then a good reward at the end is, letting them do the unboxing of the yearbooks at the end. So, all the boxes get delivered to the front office, calling them all down and having them all kind of open the boxes first to kind of see like, hey, look what all my hard work has kind of paid off and done too. So they kind of get to see it before the rest of the school does. So, just give them something to, I did this and have some proud moments there.
Clicking away. All right. We're coming to the end of our allotted time here. We do have about 3 to 4 minutes. But we appreciate you guys. Obviously, if you have any other additional questions or you didn't want to put it in the forum or the chat, and you would prefer to ask somebody directly, feel free to instant message me on the Excel Events app. I know Larry and Julia have been speed answering a lot of questions. I'm excited to read some of that. But then in addition, you can message me privately, and if I can't answer your question, I will make sure to get whoever I need to be answering those questions for you as well to the finish line for sure. But we appreciate you guys so much. We're going to be ending the session unless
I wanted to go back to the photography question when we're taking photos. One of the main things you want to keep focused on is that we usually recommend 300 DPI or higher when it comes to your image quality. But I would say that a lot of when you're using the designer, when you place a photo, you should get a warning that tells you if that picture is going to print blurry. A lot of times people get confused because the designer may look blurry or when the design is placed, it may look blurry. But unless you see that little warning at the bottom right corner of the photo or the picture will be fine. Now, another way, if you're really concerned about that photo, even though that warning is not there, like you said, you can call into your speak with your account manager or the tech support team. Just say, hey, can you take a look at this page and make sure that picture is going to print okay? Or like you said, like big thing to do is to order a proof book, when you have a good amount of pages done, so that you can actually check and make sure that that page is going to, or that picture or image is going to print clear. So that's definitely something that you want to keep an eye on.
Your account managers want your book to look amazing. So the more you reach out to them, the better your book will be, and they're always here to help you out.
Yeah.
More questions over there?
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, so
Thank
we
you,
will have
everyone.
a small break, I believe, right, for 15 minutes. The next sessions are interesting. Okay, there's 2 options for you. So please make sure that you select the correct one that you would like to be a part of. So the first option is Lean Mean Yearbook Machine, Working Smart with a Small Staff. That will be hosted by Anthony Kane, one of our resident awesome yearbook advisors here. So he actually runs a yearbook club with a very small group of kids. So how to still have a yearbook club or class, if possible, you have a smaller group. But honestly, he is an amazing operator when it pertains to running yearbook class. So whether you might have 15, 20 people, you will still learn something from Mr. Anthony Kane. So please make sure you join that one. And then the second one is cover to cover. Carry the theme and keep it cohesive. So I think that this goes in line with kind of what we talked about with the yearbook brand guide, et cetera. But also talking about theme and making sure that you stick to those rules, those outline that you've created at the beginning. But thank you guys so much.
Oh, and that's presented by the other Ellen, so.
Ellen, not this Ellen, but Ellen Dupree.
There's advisor Ellen.
Ellen Dupree we presented it. So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys. We'll see everyone at 2:15. And if anybody needs anything, please send me a message directly. Thank you so much.
Peace.